Let's talk with Harjap. Sat Sri Akal, Gianu, welcome to the show. As you know, we don't talk about immigration, we talk about community issues, we talk about issues affecting everyday society. One issue always been on my mind, and no pun intended, that we need to talk more about is the issue of mental health in the Asian community. It's an issue that we brush under the carpet. So we'll be talking about that today, and we'll be talking about my guests about जो दिमागी प्रॉब्लम होनियां लोकां नूं कि ओहदा की हल हो सकदा है। बहुत साडी कम्युनिटी विच लोकां को बच्चों को प्रॉब्लम आया, and as a community ਅਸੀਂ acknowledge नहीं करते, we fail to acknowledge these sort of stuff. That will be in our first 2 segments of the show, and then towards the end I've got an announcement to make. I've been doing a bit of investigating. I've been getting these WhatsApp messages about Metro Bank, and obviously I bank with them, so I'm concerned, and I thought I'd do an investigation over the weekend, and I did. I'll tell you all my findings from a legal perspective in relation to that towards the end of the show. But first, I would like to talk to my guests about an event happening on this weekend where we're raising awareness for mental health issues, and also, about mental health issues amongst the Asian community. So, Raj and Robert, thank you very much. Good to see you. Welcome to the show. Give us some of your background first. Let's find out who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I worked with mental health for 30 to 40 years. Right. I worked in hospitals, locked hospitals. I worked in prisons. I worked in therapeutic communities, private patients, and eventually, as you rise up the ladder, I supervised and I was consultant to training staff towards how they behaved around mental health patients. So, I'm retired now, but I've had a mixed bag of virtually everything from neurotic patients, which is really what we're talking about at the moment, to psychotic, where people really don't know themselves. They take on voices from within, or schizophrenic sort of positions where they don't know themselves. But I think here the weekend we're talking about a neurosis.
And Raj, what about yourself?
So I work in the clinical research industry. So I am exposed to the issues associated with mental health. But just from a personal perspective, we've experienced family members, friends that have experienced these types of issues. And coming from the Asian community, I've seen the struggle of trying, like you said, brushing these kind of topics under the carpet. And I think it's really important that people come forward and feel confident and comfortable to talk about it. So really, that's what we want to try and do here, is educate our community to say, look, there's nothing wrong with it. We need to start crushing the stigma and start talking about this a little bit more openly so that we can move forward as a community.
And our problem seems to be, and you work in India now, so you probably more aware of it as a cultural issue, is that we don't admit that our people, family members, have a problem. So, as you problem, as you're mundane that they've got a problem. Instead, we give them other sort of names or attributes. So we'll say, oh, that person he's just not as sharp as everyone else. Yeah. Or this person, oh, he's just very straightforward. Oh, no, these things just happen to him, but it's all right, he's okay after 5 minutes. So we don't really have a grasp of what mental health issues are. Now, I don't know whether that's willingly, whether we don't want to admit it, or whether we just lack that education. I mean, you must have come across this all the time, right?
Yeah, sure. And I don't think it was that different in England. I mean, when you look at something like the Second World War, the First World War, the Second World War in England, people were coming back from there, and nobody was dealing with the issues. Right. Everybody, the stiff upper lip Englishmen who didn't talk about it. Even in the 70s when we had Vietnam, people were coming back, huge amounts of problems. The governments, nobody wanted to admit to it. So we've all in the Western world come through this period where keep it tight, keep it quiet, don't mention it, you get on with it. That's it. Yeah.
Suck it all in.
Absolutely. And now there's a sort of maybe I need a lot of sort of people my age and slightly more right wing who say, oh, we used to manage okay, you know, what's these kids, what's wrong with them and everything. And so, you know, in England at the moment, you get these sort of slightly other side of it that, you know, keep that stiff upper lip. But I find that within the Asian community, where I work an awful lot, that there is the hidden agenda is not necessarily with the person with the problem, but within the family, the community, and it's still the culture of what does it mean to have a mental health problem or a mental health member of your own family.
It's almost as if I get the feeling that ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ admit ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ that there's our kid has a problem. And it's like as if we've produced a faulty product.
Yeah.
Or it's like the machinery खराब होती है, and then we say नहीं साडे बच्चे च नुक्स थोड़ी है, like, and it's a bad thing, and we just think their whole life will be ruined as a result if this ever gets out. It's like holding it as a secret, right?
When you say their whole life, you mean the whole family.
Yeah.
And anybody associated with them.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
and people distance themselves because they don't want to be associated with it, to say like it's contagious. Oh, I'm going to get it. So actually, it's fear of the unknown. So it's an education, but they want to distance themselves because they don't want to be associated with anybody that even talks about mental health.
I just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And there's no support network in any of the places that we go to, our community centres or anything. There's very little support network for people with mental health issues.
But you guys are talking about it, and that's partly why I'm here, because I think it's fantastic that what you're doing is the beginning. And you know what you're trying to achieve, I think, is too much at the moment. But why not try to achieve that? But actually talking about it and allowing people to come out and discuss it is really how it all begins.
What are the common things that you see in amongst Asian people, and what are the mental health issues? I mean, the famous word, which in every Asian household, is depression. Yeah. So everyone will be like, oh, okay, I've got depression, or people self-diagnose themselves with depression a lot. And I always say, you know, before you self-diagnose yourself with depression, just make sure you're not surrounded by the wrong people. So I think it's, you know, we have depression, and then there's complex issues such as bipolar, schizophrenia,
ADHD.
You know, these sort of things. If I spoke about these to, say, people who migrated here 30 years ago, 40 years ago, they wouldn't have a clue. No one would know what schizophrenia is. I doubt if my dad, you know, or my mum would even know now what schizophrenia is or bipolar is.
I would say a lot of people don't know. They, you know, a lot of we use it. It's a common word. Bipolar is a common word. We all think that we have some idea of it, but when you actually have somebody in the family with it, it has a different meaning, because you, for example, with bipolar, 1 minute they can be on the floor, next minute they can be on the ceiling, happy, lively, wanting to enjoy life, and then some days can't get out of bed, can't do anything. And that's why the bipolar, it used to be called manic depression. Before this was the old sort of
bipolar, meaning two poles.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
like north and south.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Harjap, if I can just pick up your point that you said about, you know, everybody says, you know, depression, and it's used as a massive category.
Yeah, huge.
If I'm feeling sad, it's depression. But I think what we need to do is educate people that, you know, low mood doesn't just equal depression.
Yeah.
There's so many different characteristics or conditions or indications, and Eddie, you can probably talk to it better than myself, but that's really some of the awareness that we're trying to raise as part of, you know, the work we're doing and, you know, the event we're having on the weekend. It's just to let people know that it's more complex than just the word depression.
So what exactly is a mental illness? So just tell us, and where does it come from? Are people born with it? Do people grow it later on? What, you know, this is something that happened. You hear about, you know, I've got relatives in the family, and it's clear that they've got mental health issues. But we hear about, no, actually, he was all right from a certain age, and then something happened to him. You know, is there a trigger effect, or is this something someone can do to someone, or does it happen over time? And can it happen to the elderly? Does it happen to people when they're young? Have people got it for life? Can it be cured? What is it?
Yeah, I suppose really the father of all of this kind of investigative question there is a guy called Sigmund Freud.
Right.
So round about 1900, 1905, something like that, he started to realize that if you talk to people, by just being able to get them to communicate and talk, you could start to understand where the problem lies.
Right.
And things have moved on incredibly since then. Through the 20s, 30s, 40s, everyone was trying to build on his stuff, but now there's a lot of neurological work that's being done, and we can find different ways to understand how people are getting these illnesses, and still there is no one way. I mean, the most significant problem is something called attachment theory,
right.
but not everybody would agree on that. And attachment theory is around your relationship with your mother and then your father. Mothers are called primary caregivers, fathers secondary caregivers, and how maybe you got taken away from them, how you separated from them. And I think that in Asian communities, quite often grandparents have played quite a big role, and so I slightly suspect that sometimes the industrious mother and the industrious father that you would find when they first come into this country, they were running restaurants, running this, other people left to fend for the children. So there could be something in that. I have no evidence for that, but it could be around that. But you eventually you have to take responsibility for yourself. So if you have kind of gone through difficult issues, it's about how do you get out of it. You can't spend your life blaming your parents or whatever. So how do therapists help you find, or we call it sort of join you back together, a bit like Humpty Dumpty in a way. And that's really what therapists do. They put the fragmented parts back and make you a whole.
Is it like you're saying, is it about a person whose mind is fragmented or their soul is fragmented? Or
I think it's their feelings. I think it's how we're left feeling.
Right.
And so, quite often what therapists work with is when you see people's behavior, from their behavior, you get some sort of idea of their feelings. You can't be sure until you meet with them and talk with them and listen to them. But behavior gives away an awful lot of what is behind that person.
And what are the treatments for this then? Because in India, in the olden days, they just used to, or the films that I've watched, and I'm sure everyone's watched them, if you go to a mental hospital, or if you get called tarnished with you've got mental hospital, they used to admit you to a hospital, you probably get beaten, and you get an electric shock treatment. Right? And so this is why I suppose no one wants to talk about it. Or no one's, if you thought my kid's got mental health issues, when they're going to give them electric shock treatment, you wouldn't want to admit it either. I mean, so, but that's not even, I don't even think that happens in India, or now, what are the treatments for it?
And also, just to touch on that as well, Harjap, as a parent, they feel like I'm a failure. I caused this, so nobody wants to admit to that. So these are a lot of preconceptions within our community.
They'll blame each other.
Yeah.
So I've seen a husband and wife blame each other. Oh no, you had someone, bonkers in your family, and that's how they say it. ਤੁਹਾਡੇ family ਚ ਪਾਗਲ ਸੀ, ਕੋਈ ਅਟਾਈਮ ਬਣਾਣੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਗਿਆ, ਇਹਨੇ ਕੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਸ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ. And we actually, the words used are quite derogatory.
Yes.
So we call them mad. So the word pagal is often used. Oh, your kid's pagal. Yeah, bajaya, yeah, siddha. And they said, right, he's straight, which, but when really the person's really complex, or he's simple. And so that's, first of all, we've got as a community stop using these language, these sort of words. Je kisi ko koi mental health issue is, it doesn't mean he's pagal.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean he's mad. It just means that their feelings are they're not feeling as they're supposed to feel. Or perhaps their feelings are a bit fragmented, like you said, and need putting together.
Yeah.
And the cure isn't going to be, they're going to electric shock him to make him better, or to hit him or her. There's plenty of other ways to do it. And like you said, the majority of it is about talking.
Yeah.
So
and where to go? Because I think you're right about the stigma of the family, the community, all of that, and the language that's used. That's
it's terrifying.
It gives it away. Like I was saying, behavior gives away the feelings. The pejorative language that is used needs to be questioned and stopped. And say, hey, look, we don't talk, because you go to the temple and things are meant to be together, and yet it should be like that outside as well as inside, where people all pull together and have this kind of great feeling for each other. So I think it's really important to as you get the language. Language is the beginning of everything.
So if your child does have issues, say child family which and you think, hold on, there are issues here, where should you go? I mean, your first port of call is probably your doctor, your GP. But where do you go and where do you meet other parents who have got the same sort of issues, and where do you get the support from? I mean, where could I go, say if something happened to my child? Do you know of any places? Are there any places in the Asian community where we could go to?
I don't think there's any, places like that, but,
Which is
I think the first port of call has to be your GP. So they can then actually, give you the right guidance. I know there's a lot of support. I think it's called CAMS for pediatrics and the younger group. But that has to be your first port of call. But Harjap, I think as an Asian community, we don't even get there, because we say, no, we'll deal with it ourselves. We'll call the extended family in, we'll have a family meeting and then decide what's the best path forward, rather than getting some outside intervention. So really our message is, please do seek that outside intervention to put you on the right path. But you do raise a good point. There's no support groups which are culturally orientated to give people that comfort to say, actually, if I speak up, I'm not going to be judged, or can I speak to like-minded people that are going to share their experiences so I don't feel alone? And I think that isolation is a key part of a lot of the feelings as a parent, as a person actually suffering, and as part of that wider community feeling.
देखो जे थोड़े बच्चे को कोई थोड़ा लगता कोई दिमागी परेशानी है कई चीजें हैं पहला तो थोड़ा अपने GP को जाना चाहिए. You should go to your GP. Secondly, don't start beating your kid. Beating your kid because he's misbehaving is not a solution. There might be a reason why the child misbehaves or doesn't do what you say. So बच्चे नु मारना and then saying, oh, he's just like this. I've seen kids that have been beaten their whole life, and they were perfectly good kids. They might have had some behavioral issues, and the beatings have resulted in them being a lot worse than what they are, because, unfortunately, that did go on a lot in the Asian community. They do seem right, beat the naughty kid up, and that's happened in Western culture as well. We still have the saying, don't we?
Of course.
Spare the rod and spoil the child.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think the other thing is that तुसी शर्माओ ना. Don't be शर्म वाली गल नहीं कि किसी को कोई दिमागी इशू आए, कोई प्रॉब्लम है. ये चीज़ां तुसी हेल्प मंगोगे ताई थानू हेल्प मिलेगी. So I think that, these are the two key things that you've really got to go out there and get help, and don't start chastising your child. Don't, there's a few other things we're going to be talking about what you shouldn't do, and we talk about what you should do. So these are very important. But the first point of call is admitting कि हाँ जी शायद there's a problem here. Let's see what we can do to make it right. Ignoring it is not going to help. Burying your head in the sand is not going to help. Thinking je main kuch kita nahi koi gal nahi aap hi hat jaओ, that's not going to help. ये चीज़ां आप ही नहीं हटदियां, ओ या ये उम्र नाल हट जाऊगियां. They don't. जे कोई चीज़ नहीं ठीक तो उन्हें फिर ठीक बनाया जाता है. You can find ways of making it better.
And key is don't use the word blame. There's no one to blame.
And कसूर ना कढो. ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਕਸੂਰ ਨਹੀਂ. ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਕੋਈ ਦਿਮਾਗੀ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਠੀਕ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕਸੂਰ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਸੂਰ ਨਹੀਂ. Don't start beating the wife up and saying your brother was like this. It's not her fault. Or don't start beating your husband up saying, oh, all your brothers are loopy and this one. No, it's not their fault. There's no blame game. This is something that happens naturally, and it can be treated naturally as well. So ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ. We'll go to a break, and then after the break we'll be talking about a lot more issues. So we'll see you in a few minutes. ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ break ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ.
Tired of always running out of data? Don't worry, we've got you covered. With Leica Mobile's UK Plan Ultra, you get a phone-busting 15 gigabytes of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £12 for 30 days. That's a limited time offer of over 50% off when bought online with a new SIM order. That's big data and big value. Visit leicamobile.co.uk today to see the full offer. Terms and conditions apply.
कष्ट क्लेश मिटाती है माँ करुणा की दाती है कष्ट क्लेश मिटाती है बन जा माँ का प्यारा
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਪੀਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਮਵਾਰ 9:15 ਤੋਂ 10:15 ਔਰ ਸ਼ੁੱਕਰਵਾਰ 8:30 ਤੋਂ 9:30 ਅਸੀਂ ਪੰਥ ਦੇ ਭਲੇ ਲਈ ਪੰਥ ਦੀ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਲਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਕਰਨ। MATV ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੀ ਪੰਥ ਦੀ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਲਈ ਤਤਪਰ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਆ ਉਹ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸੱਚ ਤੇ ਆਧਾਰਿਤ ਹੈ, ਸੱਚ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਬਣਦਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਏਦਾਂ ਸੱਚ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਤੇ ਪਹਿਰਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਕੋਈ ਸੌਖੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਥ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਾਂ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਪੀਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਮਵਾਰ 9:15 ਤੋਂ 10:15 ਔਰ ਸ਼ੁੱਕਰਵਾਰ 8:30 ਤੋਂ 9:30 ਅਸੀਂ ਪੰਥ ਦੇ ਭਲੇ ਲਈ ਪੰਥ ਦੀ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਲਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਕਰਨ। MATV ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੀ ਪੰਥ ਦੀ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਲਈ ਤਤਪਰ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਆ ਉਹ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸੱਚ ਤੇ ਆਧਾਰਿਤ ਹੈ, ਸੱਚ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਬਣਦਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਏਦਾਂ ਸੱਚ ਦੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਤੇ ਪਹਿਰਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਕੋਈ ਸੌਖੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਥ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਾਂ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Sat Sri Akal ji and welcome to the show. We're talking about mental health issues and how in the Asian community there's a big lack of support groups and there's a big unwillingness to talk about these issues. ਸਾਡੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੋਲ ਦਿਮਾਗੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਗਨੋਰ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਕਿ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਵਰਤਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੁਕਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਐਂਡ there are cures for it. ਜਿਸ ਸਮਾਂ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰੀਏ ਚੀਜ਼ ਬਾਰੇ ਪਤਾ ਕਰੀਏ ਸਹੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰੀਏ we can cure this and we can help people get over these problems. ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ, ਨਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਇਗਨੋਰ ਕਰੋ ਜਾਂ pretend ਕਰੋ ਕਿ existence ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ। I'll give you a few examples of what the Asian community will think is a cure, or what the problem is. So if a child starts acting weird or a person starts acting weird and it's out of character, first we'll say someone's done something to him. So ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਕੁਛ ਕਰਤਾ, ਕਾਲਾ ਜਾਦੂ ਔਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਤਾ ਜੀ ਕਿ ਜੀ ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੋ ਇੰਨੀ ਪਾਵਰ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਜੀ ਫਿਰ ਤਾਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਪਾਗਲ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਂਕ ਵੀ prime ministers or like the presidents or the bank managers, stock exchange people, I'd say come on, a bit of black magic on you. ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੋ ਇੰਨੀ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਜੀ ਕਰਨ ਨੂੰ तो ਉਹਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਤਿੰਨ ਬੈਡਰੂਮ ਵਾਲੇ ਘਰ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਰਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਬਲੈਕ ਮੈਜਿਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਸ ਜਾਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ we'll take Buckingham Palace over and the White House. Yeah, we would do all of this. The Taj Hotel in Mumbai, I've always fancied that.
Controversial.
Yeah. So yeah, we would take over all of this. So ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਮਨਾਂ ਚੋਂ ਕੱਢ ਦਿਓ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ. Then we look for a solution to that. We go to people who are not medically qualified, not trained, and they offer us solutions coincidentally for thousands of pounds, which are not medical. So all ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਮਗਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਨੱਠਦੇ ਫਿਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਆਹ ਕਰੋ ਜੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੰਨਾ ਬਸ ਹੈ ਮੇਰੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਨਿੱਜੀ ਵਿਊ ਆ ਜੇ ਜੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਉਪਾਏ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਠੀਕ ਕਰ ਸਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਉਪਾਏ ਕਰਾ ਦੇਵਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੀ ਲੋਟਰੀ ਨਿਕਲ ਜਾਵੇ ਬੁੱਧਵਾਰ ਵਾਲੇ ਦਿਨ ਹੈ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੋਟਰੀਆਂ ਕਢਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੰਬਰ ਕਢਾਉਂਦੇ ਰਾਈਟ ਸੋ ਇਹ ਥੋੜੀ ਸੋਚਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ the other thing we do is we think no ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ someone must have given him something to eat or he must have ate something wrong. There's a big thing about that. And so when we go around people's houses, we stop our kids from eating stuff. Like, ਖਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ sweet ਨਹੀਂ ਖਾਣੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ chocolate ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ dairy milk. I mean, no one's going to put something in your dairy milk. This is packed, yeah? Then we start doing about this. So it's, you know, forget about talking about something. We go, like you said, two opposite poles. We go to the South Pole and like, just make it out to be something which it technically cannot never be. And then we start looking for a solution which revolves around that. If a teenager starts playing up, oh no, he's got too much freedom, we better marry him off. Get a biah kar do. And this is what I see in my profession a lot. I see a lot of kids born here with mental health issues. The mum and dad's not admitting that they've got an issue. They go and get them married off in India. And India, then sometimes India people know. And they take advantage of that and then they get their stamp and come here. Sometimes they don't know because they never get to talk or spend time. Then when they come here, they find out these issues here. I think it's clear that marriage is not a cure. Yeah. Marriage is the cure नहीं है ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਂਭ ਸਕਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਹੱਥੀ ਜੰਮਿਆ ਉਹ ਬਗਾਨੀ ਧੀ ਹੈ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਕੀ ਕਰੇਗਾ so that's not an issue it's not a cure nor is him to say oh get married and have a couple of more kids you know and or have a couple they'll sort you out oh god man it's going to get more complex you know it's this is a common theme and it runs not in one household not in two it runs in hundreds if not thousands of households. I bet you see all happen all the time, right? You in India a lot of the time, and that's what probably happens.
And I have a big, you know, Asian community that I live and work with. I'm here, and yeah, I'm aware of this, and it is seen as something that will just remove the problem from your door. Yeah, and that's what's happening, and I think what this weekend and what we're trying to do is say, no, don't remove it from your door. Deal with it.
Deal with it.
Yeah, and don't be ashamed to deal with it.
Yeah,
and there's this kind of distance. You can't distance this problem. You love the child. He's your child. You know, you have to show that love in a different way.
And one thing that really resonated with me, Harjap, is the analogy of a physical symptom. So and this has always really stuck with me. So if I've got a wound, I cut my leg open.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to clean that wound so it heals.
Yeah.
If I don't clean that wound or don't acknowledge it's there, it's going to get infected and then it's going to escalate and it's going to get worse. So you have to liken it to a physical wound which needs cleaning and nurturing so it can heal effectively so you can move on. Otherwise, it's never going to heal and you're going to have some kind of scarring in some form that, you know, is always going to live with you.
Yeah. We just want to get rid of the problem, like you said. And I always say, look, your body fancy when you get a pimple on your arm, you don't start lopping your arm off.
Yeah.
Right? You treat it. Yeah. You know, your arm's still your arm. You know, and this is what we do. We damage ourselves in the hope that this problem will go away.
Yeah.
And I think, in effect, we just make the problems
Absolutely.
go a lot bigger.
Just to touch on something what you were talking about, if I'm understanding the language properly,
and that is now. In India long enough.
I understand.
If not, come and stay with us a couple of weeks in Southall. We'll have you talking Punjabi, Hindi, back your head.
I'll get enough of it. So there's something called the placebo.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of this. And so when doctors, for example, do medical trials, they'll do 50% say with the cure, what they want to find, and 50% with sugar water, something like that. And they don't tell them. And a lot of the people having the sugar water will get cured. And this is because the mind is able to absorb so many different facets that if it believes it's getting better, it can actually start to make itself better. Yeah.
I know. That is a bit. I've seen psychologists use that technique.
But also what you were talking about when you take it to, we use the word witch doctors or whatever.
Yeah.
They're not shown as charlatans because sometimes the patients or the people
get better.
Yeah. So they say, hey, look, they don't show you the people who don't get better.
Yeah.
But
they just show you the one that's got better.
And that's more of a placebo. That you can, I think in, I don't know, 500 years time, we will be self-medicating because we'll have the intelligence, the ability to do certain things ourselves. But at the moment, it's an unknown area. But it's still psychologically where our mind is learning.
I know you've said, look, we need to start talking about these issues, and it's a first step. But what else needs to be done, really? I mean, what is seriously lacking? In your view, what do you think is seriously lacking that needs to be changed now?
You can't change things too rapidly.
Right.
When you actually get on the run of cure, what happens is that it's a process that takes place, and unless you've got a real sort of psychotic problem where you need drugs and you need a psychiatrist involved to change things, they can change things, but then you problem. But in the main, it's what we're doing today. We're talking about it, and it's the same sort of thing as in England. 30 years ago, you couldn't talk about gay people. It was an illegal thing. You couldn't. It was sort of, no, it doesn't happen. It's not there. It's not. Now, nearly
India until recently.
Well, of course,
only over a month.
Very recently.
Yeah, very recently.
Yes, but it was shunned. It was something. But now most people in England don't care.
They don't.
And you still have this kind of crazy situation where people in some parts of the world have been stoned to death because of it.
Just tends to be people with religions generally.
Yes.
Doesn't
That's
matter which
another
one. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So what we're doing, it will be slow. It won't be quick. But I think one of the questions that was being asked, actually, when you start to find out, the next question is going to be, so where do we go? What do we do? And if that part isn't answered, then people do not know where to go, how to get the cure, where to find things. And I think there's a big void because I'm not sure that doctors are the answer.
I like you've said, it's maybe something that requires a lot of talking. So I think first point for us would be have places or centres where people can just drop in and have a chat. I often I chat with my mum quite a lot. So my mum always says, कि गल करना बोझ हल्का हो जाता. You feel as if a big weight is off your mind just by talking. And I always sit there and I think, and I've done it myself. You keep things bottled to yourself, you keep things bottled up, and then you can just talk to someone. It might even be a stranger, and then you just feel as if I was a big burden off, big weight off your shoulders. I think that's the first thing. I think that's what our community doesn't want to do. It never wants to talk in case all these secrets get leaked and get broadcast about.
But then you go back to maybe some of the more basic villages in India and Africa, where the community does sit down. They almost have leaders. They have
village councils.
Exactly. Yeah. Everything's spoken about. Everything's known. To some extent, in those places, they're healthier than we are here.
Everyone knows each other's business there.
Yes, and so there's no hiding. There's no shame. This is who we are.
Yeah. We have a town like that in Kent called Gravesend. All the Asians know each other's business down there.
It's not unique.
It's not unique. We've reported across that idea.
You know why it's called Gravesend?
So one of the charities we're actually supporting is called Meet and Mingle, and it does exactly that.
Yes.
It provides a safe haven for our community to go and speak. So it could be, just a general, getting them out of the house and having a safe forum to go and talk. It could be, somebody that's struggling with a serious illness, where, you know, the consequence then actually leads to mental health issues as well. So they created this fun environment. So there's a meet and mingle for women, and last November there was a meet and mingle for men.
Okay.
So this is within our community locally for, you know, as a first step to go to.
Wow.
So, you know, we are making progress, and I think we should acknowledge that fact that we
Yeah,
are
no, we
making
are.
progress.
There
because-
are a couple of them. I've seen charities,
Yeah.
Asian charities, which are regarding mental health and, you know, trying to get the
Yeah.
word out there.
Yeah.
But proportionally, I suppose it's
Yeah,
not
and
enough.
but these are self-funding. They don't get any
Yeah, they don't
government
get any funding.
and this is why we're doing what we're doing, because we want to make a difference and support these really worthy causes where they don't get government funding. And the other charity we're supporting is called Art Beyond Belief.
Right.
They do get a small component of art grant, but it's an environment for people that are struggling with mental health, and they're using art as a form of therapy. So this is you know, you'll probably talk to it better, but you know, it's acknowledging your feelings and emotions through art.
And let's get something clear as well, like psychologists, psychotherapists, they aren't doctors for mad people, right? So like,
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, we use such derogatory terms. So a vet in Punjabi, we call him Dangarala doctor. Like, you know, it looks like a doctor for beasts. You know, it's not a great sort of description, is it?
I've been called that.
Yeah. Right? So a psychologist or a psychotherapist, we call them Pagalani doctors.
Yeah.
But you know, they're not, these are people who are qualified, and they don't treat mad people. They treat people who've got issues with their mental health, and or people who just want to chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get people like counsellors, and it goes from anything from social workers to counsellors, all the way up to, like you said, clinical psychologists. You know, it's a big chain and a big sort of ladder of, you know, of people, and there's a lot of people there, even from your local GP, even from your local teacher. There's elements of it everywhere, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I think we were talking about that earlier. Part of what we would like to see is more education, especially in our, you know, in our schools.
Yeah.
So while you know, they are moving in the right direction. For example, I got a text from my daughter's school today, and they're wearing green on Friday to represent Mental Health Week, which is this week. 13th of the 19th is Mental Health Week. So I think we're getting there, but I think it's more targeted, maybe education and resources for teachers that are in a position to influence, because we need to be worried, you know, we're not worried, but we need to take into account the next generation. You know, what are the things that we need to be teaching them so they become more aware of that?
Well, we haven't taught them anything because we've spent the whole generation trying to tell them there's nothing wrong with them, and we ignore them, we're trying to hide it, saying that there's nothing wrong with you, or, you know, these sort of things, you don't talk about them, you brush them under the carpet, you suck it, like we said, suck it all in, be a man. And then one day, it just explodes.
Yeah.
Right? So I've seen that. I've seen guys do that a lot. I've seen them keep it all in, and then one day, it just all explodes in their head. And
like a pressure cooker.
yeah, it's like a pressure cooker. And then it's like a pressure cooker. They call, this week is Mental Health Awareness Week. So here week, you'll get a lot of awareness about mental health. But ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਦੇਖੋ ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਧ ਰਿਹਾ, ਜਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ, ਜਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਹਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਦਾ ਬਿਹੇਵੀਅਰ ਠੀਕ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤਾਂ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਾਗਲ ਨਾ ਕਰਾਰ ਕਰੋ, ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਰੋ, ਜਾਂ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਕਹੋ ਕਿ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਜਾਦੂ ਟੂਣਾ ਹੋਇਆ. Get the right advice of the right people and go and talk about it with other people who are experiencing it, and you will find a solution. There's help out there. It's not something that is incurable. There have been loads of people who have recovered about this. You've treated people who are...
It's not, there's very little that's incurable. The top end of the range, maybe. Yeah. And that's the 99% of people are.
Wow. And this is coming from someone who's treated people, right?
Yes, and it's...
And from prisons to surgery.
Yes, and when you say curable, you know, it's something that is within us. Right. It just needs to be let out. Right. We all have the capacity to be well.
Brilliant.
And I think people just, you know, they don't know how to function because they haven't been educated. Because I've heard people say, I feel like I'm going mad because I actually can't hold down a conversation. I can't take on board new information. So they overanalyze and self-diagnose. And before you know it, where they could have nipped it in the bud and got some support and be on the right path, they go down even a deeper, darker hole but we need to encourage, you know, if you're feeling like this, like we said, like, you know, Eddie's just said, there's a treatment plan in place that can be targeted to support you.
This event that we're doing on Saturday, I mean, you did this 3 years ago as well, and I remember it was a very good event. And to see you had a lot of Indians and Punjabi singers there. You've got a few singers again. This time you had a magician, but you had a lot of speakers who did some speaking there. It's a great cause. All these sorry proceeds, you're giving it to charity, right?
100% is going to Meet and Mingle and Art Beyond Belief.
Wow.
Like we said, they're two local charities that don't get that funding but do absolutely amazing work. So we really want to make that difference. And that's why we're saying, you know, we can only make a difference together. Nobody can do it by themselves. You know, we're not professionals in this. I mean, obviously, Eddie is. We're novices at doing this kind of stuff, but we're passionate about giving back to our community and raising this awareness.
I think Saturday event हो रहा है बेलिस हाउस ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਹੋਗੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਬੜੇ ਕਲਾਕਾਰ ਹੋਗੇ a good night of fun but more importantly it'll help to raise money for mental health charities and awareness. We'll have a lot of speakers there on the night. ਬਾਕੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੋਰ ਬੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਮਿਲੋਗੇ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. So Saturday ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਉੱਥੇ Bailey's House ਪਹੁੰਚਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨਾ. Freedom for Minds is the event and you've got a Facebook page and an event on Facebook. So if you want to attend that, you can contact me on my Facebook and I'll post the details out. They've been on my Facebook every other 10 minutes, I think, today, thanks to our friend Biggie, who has put it all out there. But so, yeah, ਉੱਥੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਆਉਣਾ. ਦੇਖੋ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜੋ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਦੀ ਸਟੋਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ, ਇਹ ਘਰ ਘਰ ਦੀ ਸਟੋਰੀ ਆ. ਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਕੋਈ ਏਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਏਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼. ਇਹ ਲੁਕੋ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹਦਾ ਹੱਲ ਹੋਣਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ. ਇਹ ਹੋਣਾ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਥ ਜੋੜਾਂਗੇ ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ, ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨੂੰ ਹੱਥ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ ਐਂਡ ਹੈਲਪ ਈਚ ਅਦਰ ਆਊਟ ਐਂਡ ਟਾਕ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਇਟ. ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਸਾਰੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਤਾਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਣੀ ਆ. I always say it doesn't matter what the question is, the answer is always education. And I think that we need to take that away. You can ask any question you want, the answer is always going to be, with our community especially, education. So educate yourselves and educate others, and don't go around the wrong paths and go down stuff which is going to make it even worse. So please go and meet the right people. Go and support people like Raj and Eddie who are going out and doing good stuff. You know, they're doing great stuff, not just in this country, but in other countries as well. You know, a lot more than what our ancestors did. And they'll give kids your time. Go and get the right help. Yeah, and don't go down looking for wrong solutions like marriage and, you know, like we say, witch doctors and, you know, these things can be helped. Yeah, and they're not something that can stay with you. They can stay with you for life, but if you don't treat them, then obviously they might do. But you can have them treated, and like Eddie said, 99% of problems they're dealt with, and they can be dealt with. A lot of it, I suppose, is getting confidence back. And just keep getting, you know, that stuff back. So, thank you for coming, and I hope you best of luck with the event. And obviously, I'm looking forward to it, and it should be good. Its last event was really good as well, so it was really good. I really enjoyed myself, and really had a good time. And we made sure everyone had a good time, and everyone enjoyed themselves. So it was really good. And like I said, your Facebook page is Freedom for Minds.
That's right.
And if anyone wants to get in touch with yourselves, I'm sure your names are on the screen and they can send you Facebook messages, or you can get in contact with me. And देखो ये चीज़ जो हल जो होना है ये सारी गलबात देना होना education देना अनपढ़ता नाल जी किसी चीज़ का हल नहीं होया. Nothing has been solved with a lack of education. So let's educate ourselves, educate each other, and solve these problems that affect our community. Don't ignore it, and don't brush it under the carpet. Chalo, something else we're not going to brush under the carpet is this recent issue with Metro Bank, which has been going around on WhatsApp. I've been investigating it, and I'll give you all my results on the investigation after a break. Melody, break the word.